So the first thing we are going to be doing here is to have an holistic perspective into what is going on. And to do that, we want to scale up into the 4 hours time frame. So on the 4 hours time frame, I've been able to identify a simple setup, which we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for this week. Now, one thing here is that if you take into consideration what has been happening in this market since the beginning of the month of May, you will see here that price action has been very, very bullish in this market. And to further emphasize the strength of the buyers here, let's connect the series of higher lows. And if we do that correctly, we should be having a beautiful trend line which has been supporting this bullish momentum since the beginning of the week. So I would like to make this a little bit thicker so that it will emphasize it is important within this market structure. So back into our line chart so you can see our price action had consistently respected this trend line. So at this point in time, we might likely see a situation where price will come back into the trend line to probably respect it or even break it to the downside. And why have I said so? Well, if we zoom into the current structure that is taking into consideration what has been happening in this market in the last couple of weeks now, you will see that price action has been ranging caught within the $14,670 level and the $14,250 area to give us a $400 range, as you can see here. And one thing that is prominent about this whole structure is the fact that as soon as price action got into the 14,670 level at the beginning of this month, we continue to see how sellers have been negating all attempt by the buyers to break out of that structure. Look at what happened here. We saw sharp rejections of this level here. That was on the 5th of June. We saw sharp rejections. We saw here again on the 7th of June. We saw another sharp rejection of that zone. And right here again during the later part of last week, we saw another sharp rejection giving us a shooting star candle, which from a technical standpoint is a sign that reveals the presence of sellers around that area. So at this point in time, there is a high chance that we could likely see price action drop to the downside here as buyers still find it difficult to break out of that resistance line. So it now depends if price drops to the downside into the 14,250 level, a level which has been a strong demand zone since the beginning of this month, I think in the last couple of weeks. Now, depending on how price action reacts to this level, will determine if we are going to be adding more sell position or getting ready for another wave of bullish momentum. So a breakdown of the structure might likely incite a bearish move, while a continued buy pressure above this area, probably a double bottom structure, a reversal pattern, could incite another wave of bullish momentum. But at this point in time, our center of focus is simply going to be around this area where we want to see how participants in this market has been reacting to the zone since the beginning of this week to decide what our next line of action will be. And are we going to be seeing a breakout of the 14,670 today to incite another wave of bullish momentum, or will the selling pressure continues to plunge price to the downside? So this will be revealed when we scale down to a much more lower time frame. Now, to understand what has been going on since the beginning of this week, we want to scale down into the 1 hour time frame, and this was what I was able to come up with on the 1 hour time frame. So the first thing here is that since Thursday of last week's trading session, it is quite clear that price action has been bullish before it culminated at that resistance line at the 14,670. Now, to emphasize or reveal the presence of buyers in this market, we connected the series of higher lows to give us this bullish trend line that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. And so what this simply means is that as long as price action remains above this trend line, we'll feel comfortable buying the USTEC 100 while we also look out for more opportunities to buy. But if at any point in time price action breaches this trend line, that is breaking it to the downside, then at this point we will start considering selling the USTEC 100. Now, with the trend line marked out on the chart right now, the next thing I did here was to try to decipher what majority in the market has been doing. And from what I saw here during the first 10 hours to 12 hours in this market, we can see how price action was ranging between the 14,595 and the 14,545 to reveal the level of indecision in this market, and not until the breakout of the 14,595 happened, which signaled the potential that buyers could likely push price to the upside. So I had a buy position triggered at that point with a stop loss order sitting right below the previous low, right below the bullish trend line, to see if this momentum will hold going into the New York session today. So what this simply means is that we shall feel comfortable in the buy position, but the most important thing here is the breakout of the 14,670 that will further give validity to this bullish momentum in this market. So a breakout of the 14,670 that's structure we are looking forward to feel very, very confident in this buy position. So let's see how price action plays out going forward from this current structure. So above the 14,595, we are looking forward to more buying opportunities in the market, and a further breakout of the 14,670 will be welcoming more opportunities to buy the USTEC 100. And you know how we do it here. Even though we are looking out for more opportunities to buy here, we always want to keep in mind that sellers too still have a potential to as well. So looking at the current market structure here, what do we want to see on this chart that will make us change our bias from bullish to bearish? Now, considering what we have seen so far around the 14,670 and the 14,620 area, which has been a strong selling niche since the beginning of this month, it is quite clear that we are still within the seller's territory. And when we are within the seller's territory, we cannot ignore the potentials that sellers could still take over this market. And what do we want to see on this chart that will make us change our bias? Well, like I said earlier, we want to see price action break below the trend line, which will be the first time price will be breaking down the trend line in the last 48 trading hours. Then if the breakdown happens, then at this point, we want to start considering selling. Remember, we are not getting too excited. This is a very strong bullish momentum since the second half of last week. So we will need a confirmation that sellers are gradually gaining momentum. And to do that, we want to scale down into our lower time frame, your 10 minutes, 5 or 15 minutes time frame, to look out for a retest of structure. That is a retest of the trend line, which was broken, which would have been broken rather, or the retest of the 14,595, where we start seeing signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that trend line. When this happens, we begin to see something like selling pressure or possibly a reversal pattern on our lower time frame to join a bearish move to the downside. Then if this happens, we want to have another sell stop order below the 14,545, where the breakdown retest of that area will further confirm the strength of the sellers in this market. So this is how we are going to be taking advantage of sell positions or buy positions in this market. And you can see how the trend line here is going to be serving a major role in determining how we are going to be taking a position for today. So you want to mark these levels out on your chart and use it as a guide in taking advantage of any trading opportunity at this point. So let's see how price action plays out, and we shall be coming back here tomorrow to make a well-informed decision on what our next line of action will be. So if you have any questions regarding my explanation on the USTEC 100, feel free to let me know in the comment section. If you need me to do some clarification or shed more light in a particular aspect you don't understand, let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am willing to be of help in that regard.